You look at Will Smith and Chris Rock and the incident that happened at the Oscars. And a lot of times, people gave him hell for a very long time. I mean, that was over 3 years ago now. Needless to say, that was 2022, right? April, maybe? April or May of 2020. I think it was April, right? Because sometimes it snows in April, right? He, slapped the shit out of Chris Rock. Slapped the shit out of him. Quick. And it was kind of like, damn, what just happened? He did it so fast. But he got a lot of backlash, and they banned him for the Oscars for 10 years and this, that, and the other. And, I think what people need to understand about the issue with Will is Will was always looked upon as this perfect person. The perception of perfection is, that was him. He was the poster child for that shit until they found out that he wasn't. He wasn't an angel. He wasn't perfect. He is, fallible. And I think now you look at it, now people, because time heals all things. I don't give a shit who you are, unless you don't want it to heal, and that's on you. But time heals all things. And when that is healed, and when time takes its course to heal that particular situation or issue, I think people can then move on, and people then understand who Will is. Will is a person that, we all know that he's been in situations where maybe he shouldn't have been personally with his wife and all that stuff, because of course it was about his wife anyway. Will, I think, would be 100 times better of a person if he was single or with somebody else. I think he would have. I've always thought that he could have been better with Sally Richardson. Jada Pinkett looks like like whatever I think she looks like. I'm not even gonna go there with Jada, but I think certain times people can pick the wrong mate or the wrong woman, and that is end all and be all, right? But I think what we learned about Will, though, Will now is infamous to a lot of people's eyes, and I think, especially comedians, they will always look at Will Smith like that. But you know what? That's okay. It's good to be infamous or famous in certain instances. People are still going to know who the fuck you are. You know what I mean? And I think that people look at Will totally different than they ever have, which I think is good. I think it's a good thing you got a little flaw. You got a tiger stripe of imperfection about you, because it shows you that, hey, you're not, that goody two-shoes dude, which he got the jacket for so many years. Now they know Will Smith will slap the shit out of you. He will slap the shit out of you if you piss him off. And it's good to know that a person will do that. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people looked at it like, oh, well, he just got away with it because he's Will Smith. Well, I think the fact of the matter was, they could have pressed charges. They didn't, I guess, out of respect for Will Smith. And you know what I mean? He tried to patch it up. That shit didn't really help. It didn't do any good. But nonetheless, though, I do think and feel that Will Smith now, you should look at him differently as a man versus the person like the Will Smith character, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and all this shit. I do think that, Will now is looked at as a person that's normal and can make mistakes just like anybody else. And I think it's actually kind of gangster, to be honest with you. The only thing that made it bad was it wasn't Terry Crews or 50 Cent or somebody his size. Now, people made a big deal out of that because he just came off looking like a fucking bully. But, I don't know. See, and we'll never know, honestly, because it wasn't 50 Cent that said that. I think what it would have been if it was someone like that. Because I'm going to give Will the benefit of the doubt. Because I'm not just going to call him chicken shit. What I will do is I'll say he would have done that if it was 50 Cent. He would have done that if it was Terry Crews. Because, he would have came up and tried that. You know, because he would have just been angry. And I think that the backstory in his issues that people don't know about his personal life was coming, you know, was bothering him, and it was coming to a head. And I think that he would have done that regardless, I want to say. And I think it wouldn't have just been him slapping some big dude, because any of those guys would have been like, what the fuck did you just do? Maybe Terry Crews probably would have. Terry would have probably just was like, what you hit me for? 50 would have fought his ass. You know what I mean? Mike Tyson, he wouldn't have did that to Mike, because Mike said something probably realer than anybody else could say. He said, no, he wouldn't be hitting me because I wouldn't be talking about his fucking wife. You have to remember, you know, that was what the issue was. But I do think that was a way for Will Smith to express how unhappy he was in his relationship. If you go and you go down further in that rabbit hole, Will was just expressing himself the only way that I guess you know, the emotions led him to express himself. You know, and this is 3 years later, and now you can make jokes about Will slapping the shit out of somebody and people actually laugh about it. But they weren't laughing 3 years ago. That's why I say, people, time heals all things. But knowing, in closing, Will Smith, piss him off, he will slap a motherfucker. West side of Philadelphia, born and raised. Peace.